I was born into a non-Christian family in Busan, and my dad used to work for a deep ocean fishing company, and because of that, he was frequently absent. When I was 3, my parents got divorced, and I never got to see my mom since. And even though I was left with my dad's side of the family, I didn't really get to spend time with my dad, nor did I live with my dad because of his job. He was gone most of the year, and he would visit maybe once or twice in a year or two. So I never really got to see him. But then when I was in 3rd grade, I received a call from my dad, and he told me that he got remarried to this Tongan woman and that he had a family in American Samoa, and he offered me if I wanted to come live with him. So I moved in with my dad and his new family in American Samoa, and about a year I lived with them. And then after about a year, I moved to this island called Tonga where my stepmom's side of the family was at. Life in Tonga was a lot different than my expectation. First of all, it was a 3rd world country, and there was literally nothing in that island. When I first saw the house that we were going to live in, I was quite devastated because it was a small hut and 8 of us were going to live there, and I just couldn't imagine living in that house. My stepmom and my dad left Tonga shortly after moving in together because of their jobs, and me and my half-sister was left with my stepmom's side of the family, and they were all Tongans. We were very poor, and we would have to drink rainwater. We would have to gather rainwater when it pours, and then we would just simply drink that. And I remember one time we didn't have food at all. We didn't have anything. And so one of the family members went into a nearby Chinese shop, and then they asked for food, and all they gave was chicken bones. And the family, they boiled that chicken bone and they made soup out of it, and they were drinking it as food, and I just couldn't do it. Because we were so poor, they wouldn't even let me wash my hair. So they would only let me wash my hair once a week in that humid weather. And even in that process, I was so confused, as in, why am I living like this? Why am I not able to do whatever I want with my hair and wash it whenever I want? I just couldn't understand why I was living like this. And then I remember there were so many cultural differences. I was the only Asian in that neighborhood that lived with the Tongan family, and so they would literally come follow me and tease me, and there were a lot of racist jokes that I didn't really understand. So after 5 years of living in Tonga, living with the Tongan family, I was kind of getting sick of it. So I asked my dad if I can move out of Tonga. And when he asked me, where do you want to go? I said, I wanted to go to America. Three months after coming into US, I became undocumented. And that was because of the visa process. And because of that, I was stuck in US for 10 years. For 10 years, I couldn't see my family members because I couldn't leave the country. I lived with my stepmom for a little bit, but soon we got in a huge argument and I moved out. And so I started living with my friend's family throughout high school. That's when I started to realize the absence of my family, and I entered college, still undocumented. And college is where God met me. Funny thing is, even though I was born into a non-Christian family, for some reason, throughout my whole life, I was placed in church settings. So right before coming into college, I was struggling with depression and emptiness and loneliness, and with the question of, where is my home? Where can I really rest? Where do I go back to? Where did I come from? What is my name? And with all those questions, I began to turn that to Christ, saying, God, can you just do something? I felt stuck and I wanted to find answers, but I didn't know where to go to. So even though I didn't really know how to pray, I just simply kept saying, God, can you just do something? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if this is the right way to pray, but the church people say that you love me, so can you just do something? And then in college, as a freshman at UCSB, I went to parties and I would just hang out with people that I just met in that drinking scene. And I remember at one point, I felt like, you know, all these people, they're gonna drink all night and then they're gonna do stupid and crazy stuff. They're gonna wake up the next morning, talk about how stupid and crazy last night was, and they're gonna repeat that same thing or do even worse because that will never fill them up. And it's gonna be an endless cycle. Do I want that? Do I want that? And the answer was no. So I stepped out of that party scene and then I started going out to this college campus ministry. After joining the campus ministry, I began to learn what it really means to have a relationship with God. And I realized that the reason I was able to walk out of that party scene was that God answered my prayer of saying, God, can you do something? And He really did something. He opened my eyes and He began to show me His presence throughout my life. I never fully lived in a place called home because it was never my home. I lived in other people's houses, and because of that, I long for that place of rest. I long for that place called home where I can fully be myself. But in college, I didn't have any place like that, and I kept asking God the question of, God, where is my home? Where can I return back to? Where am I supposed to find my full rest in? And as I was asking those questions, during one of the retreat, I felt His impression upon my heart saying, I will never find that home. I will never find that perfect home in this world because my citizenship is in heaven and my eternal home is in heaven. After hearing that, I was set free from long years of yearning for a physical home, a place where I can call home, a place where I can return to. Because what God was saying was that in this world, I will never have that perfect home. And I realized I didn't have to search for a home anymore because where His presence is, that's my home.